It's swing, sing, and all that jazz. And here to give you the downbeat is Henry Holloway.
Thank you, Marilyn. Hello to you, dear listeners. We start today's program with an anniversary. On the 6th of March 1939, trumpeter Harry James and his brand new big band recorded 2 O'Clock Jump for Brunswick Records in New York City. The tune is obviously a follow-up to Count Basie's 1 O'Clock Jump, and Harry James, his old boss Benny Goodman, and Mr. Basie co-composed 2 O'Clock Jump. The Harry James recording which you're about to hear was arranged by Mr. James himself, and as expected, his fantastic trumpet work overshadows all the solo work, although pianist Jack Gardner does get in some good licks. Otherwise, it's straight-ahead section work. And then, after 2 O'Clock Jump, there's a bonus.
You'll never know how many dreams I dream about you, or just how empty they all seem without you. So kiss me once, then kiss me twice, then kiss me once again. It's been a long, long time.
Kitty Callan singing the 1945 Sammy Cahn Julie Stein classic It's Been a Long, Long Time with Harry James and his orchestra on July 24th, 1945. And what about that lovely Willie Smith alto sax solo after the vocal? On this day, Bix Beiderbecke was born in Davenport, Iowa. Bix gained virtual musical immortality for his exquisite tone and smooth legato style on cornet, but he was also an excellent pianist. I actually prefer Bix's piano playing, so here's the man with one of his own compositions, Bixology, subtitled In a Mist, recorded on the 8th of September 1927 in New York City. Bix Beiderbecke playing his own In a Mist. Unfortunately, that sad physical state applied to Bix himself more often than not, and he died in August 1931 at the age of 28. Almost to the day, 1 year after Leon Bix Beiderbecke was born in Davenport, Iowa, Alton Glenn Miller saw the first light of day in Clarinda, also in the state of Iowa. Young Miller grew up in poor circumstances, but he became the world's most successful band leader. Many Miller critics said his civilian band never swung. See what you think as we listen to I Dreamt I Dwelt in Harlem, recorded on the 17th of January 1941 in New York City. Solos by Al Klink, tenor sax, Billy May, trumpet, Ernie Caceres, clarinet, and Chummy McGregor, piano. A splendid arrangement by Jerry Gray, and how those Miller men responded. Jerry Gray was also co-composer together with three others of I Dreamt I Dwelt in Harlem. Your band did swing on that occasion, Glenn Miller. I did not tell you that Glenn was born on the 1st of March 1904. Here's a slightly mixed-up anniversary, in fact, two anniversaries. First, the facts. It's now 83 years since the Mills Brothers recorded Paper Doll, and 69 years ago Slim and Slam waxed Flatfoot Floogie. I couldn't find either of those recordings among my CDs, so I compromised. Here's Flatfoot Floogie, sung by the Mills Brothers, assisted by one Louis Armstrong.
Boys, how about a little Flatfoot Floogie?
With the Floyd, Floyd?
Yes, Floyd, Floyd.
With the Floyd, Floyd.
Oh, well, a one, a two.
A Flatfoot Floogie with the Floyd, Floyd. A Flatfoot Floogie with the Floyd, Floyd. A Flatfoot Floogie with the Floyd, Floyd. Floyd, oi, Floyd, oi, Floyd, oi, Floyd, oi. A Flatfoot Floogie with the Floyd, Floyd. A Flatfoot Floogie with the Floyd, Floyd. A Flatfoot Floogie with the Floyd, Floyd. Floyd, oi, Floyd, oi, Floyd, oi, Floyd, oi. If you're feeling low down and don't know what to do, and you want a showdown, here's the only dance for you. The Flatfoot Floogie with the Floyd, Floyd. The Flatfoot Floogie with the Floyd, Floyd. The Flatfoot Floogie with the Floyd, Floyd. Floyd, oi, Floyd, oi, Floyd, oi, Floyd, oi.
Bang, 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 bang,
Yada.
bang, 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 bang,
Yada.
bang, 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 bang,
Yada.
ba-doo, ba-doo, down, down. Flatfoot Floogie,
Yada.
lose that floozy,
Yada.
Bigfoot Floogie,
Yada.
ba-doo, ba-doo, down, down.
Bum, 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 yada. Bum, 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 yada. Bum, 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 yada. Da 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 da. Yada.
Oh, the Flatfoot Floogie with Floyd, Floyd. Flatfoot Floogie with Floyd, John. Flatfoot Floogie with Floyd, Floyd. Floyd, oi, Floyd, oi, Floyd, oi, Floyd, oi. A Flatfoot Floogie with Floyd, Floyd. A Flatfoot Floogie with Floyd, John. A Flatfoot Floogie with Floyd, Floyd. Floyd, oi, Floyd, oi, Floyd, oi, Floyd, oi.
If you're feeling low down, go to the da do it in the battle bar, and you want a showdown.
Oh, the Flatfoot Floogie with Floyd, Floyd. Flatfoot Floogie with Floyd, John. Flatfoot Floogie with John, John. Floyd, oi, Floyd, oi, Floyd, oi, Floyd, oi.
Floogie,
Flatfoot, Slewfoot, Sugarfoot, Cushfoot, Wingfoot, Bigfoot, and Satchelfoot.
Slim and Slam's Flatfoot Floogie, recorded by the Mills Brothers and Papa Louie in 1938. The brilliant guitarist Charlie Christian was only 23 years old when he died on March 2nd, 1942, from pneumonia. Christian made his name with Benny Goodman, and arguably his most famous recording with the full Goodman Band is Solo Flight, composed and arranged by Jimmy Mundy, based on a guitar riff by Charlie Christian, who shares the solo honors on this recording with Benny Goodman. Solo Flight, Benny Goodman, his swing band, and guitarist Charlie Christian on the 4th of March 1941, just 1 year before Christian's tragic death. All you clever jazz and swing buffs will know that Artie Shaw just left his successful band in late 1939 to live in Mexico. There he came across an Albert Dominguez composition, Frenesy, which I believe had a lot to do with his decision to return to band leading in America in 1940. On the 3rd of March 1940, Artie Shaw recorded Frenesy in Hollywood. Artie Shaw is clarinet and strings with Frenesy. Early in this program you heard alto saxophonist Willie Smith with Harry James and Kitty Callan. Well, we remember sadly the passing of Willie Smith on March 7th, 1967, at the age of 56 in Los Angeles. In September 1956, Willie and his trusted alto sax cut some sides with Nat King Cole in Hollywood. Here's my favorite, Just You, Just Me.
Just you, just me. Let's find a cozy spot to cuddle and woo. Just us, just we. I've missed an awful lot. My trouble is you. Oh, gee, what are your charms for? What are my arms for? Use your imagination, just see you. just me. Our child lovers not around wonderful you. What are your charms for? What are my arms for? Use your imagination. Just you, just me. Our tired lovers not, tired lovers not, tired lovers not around wonderful you.
Nat King Cole, plus his supporting trio, and Willie Smith in 1956. Little did anyone suspect that both Nat and Willie would die during the following decade. One of the nicest persons whom I made friends with in Southern California over the years was master clarinetist Abe Most. He played with Les Brown and Tommy Dorsey in his 20s, and then spent most of the 80s plus years of his life in the studios, being first choice on clarinet. Shortly before his death just a few years ago, Abe and 3 associates made an album of mostly ballads for his own label, Camard. To remember Abe Most's birthday on February 27th, 1920, I'll Close My Eyes. Billy Reed's lovely composition, I'll Close My Eyes, played by clarinetist Abe Most and his trio with guitarist Barry Zweig, also on center stage. It's double Dorsey time now, and the sentimental gentleman of swing, Tommy, is first in line today. Our anniversary is that of Tommy's recording of Well Get It on March the 9th, 1942. Cy Oliver arranged it, and he allowed lots of solo space. Even Tommy stepped away from his smooth trombone style for a few moments. Trumpeters Ziggy Elman and Chuck Peterson steal most of the kudos, but clarinetist Heine Bow, tenorman Don Lodis, and pianist Milt Raskin are not far behind, propelling it all magnificently on drums, as only he could, the peerless Buddy Rich. Well Get It, composed and arranged by Cy Oliver for Tommy Dorsey, and that recording surely left no cobwebs anywhere in the studio. Jimmy Dorsey was born on the 29th of February 1904, so he only had 13 birthdays in his life. He had almost as many top hits, especially with his two vocalists, Bob Everly and Helen O'Connell. Here's one of the biggest of them all.
Tangerine, she is all they claim, with her eyes of night and lips as bright as flame. Tangerine, when she dances by, senoritas stare and Cavalier aside. And I've seen toasts to tangerine raised in every bar across the Argentine. Yes, she has them all on the run, but her heart belongs to just one. Her heart belongs to Tangerine.
Color keeps Louis Philippe's to blame. And I've seen clothes on Tangerine where the label says from Macy's mezzanine. Yes, she's got the guys in a whirl, but she's only fooling one girl. She's only fooling Tangerine.
Tangerine. Jimmy Dorsey, his alto sax, his orchestra, and his two prize vocalists, Bob Eberly and Helen O'Connell, all following Tutti Camerata's arrangement to a T in New York City on December 10th, 1941. For the rest of the program, we tune into some local gems. We begin with that Bloemfontein boffin pianist Noel Stockton, his orchestra and his choir. Roses of Picardy.
Roses are shining in Picardy, in the hush of the silvery dew. Roses are blooming in Picardy, but there's never a rose like you. And the roses will die with the summertime, and our roads may be far, far apart. But there's one rose in Picardy. That's the rose that I keep in my heart. Roses will die with the summertime, It's the rose that he keeps in
You
his
can keep your
heart.
rose from Texas
And the one
from Tennessee, but the only rose he dreams of blooms in Picardy.
Roses of Picardy, Noel Stockton and the Gang. I'll be playing you more from this album, which Noel has kindly sent me in future programs. Here's a nice and easy version of That Old Feeling by Roy Martin and his band. I'm guessing that this was recorded in the 1960s. Short and sweet. I wonder if the pianist there was Ralph Baleson. That Old Feeling was written in 1937 by Lou Brown and Sammy Fain. I attended a show at Roxy's Theatre in the Grand West Casino Complex, which features the Bee Gees music in the main. Leslie Klainsmith, one of the frontline performers in the show, which I enjoyed, even though the music is, of course, from a later era than my favorite one. From Leslie's latest album, here's a Cole Porter standard.
I've got you under my skin. I've got you deep in this heart of me. So deep in my heart, you're really a part of me. I've got you under my skin. I tried so not to give in. I said to myself, this affair never could go so well. So why should I try to resist when, darling, I know so well that I got you under my skin. I'd sacrifice anything, come what might, for the sake of having you near, in spite of a warning voice that comes in the night and repeats in my ear. Don't you know, you fool, never can win. Use your mentality. Wake up to reality. And each time I knew, just the thought of you made me stop before I begin. I've got you under my skin. Sacrifice anything, come what might, for the sake of having you near. In spite of a warning voice that comes in the night and repeats in my ear. Don't you know, you fool, you never can win. Use your mentality. Wake up to reality. And each time I knew, just the thought of you made me stop before I begin. I've got you under my skin. I've got you under my skin. Yes, I've got you under my skin.
I've Got You Under My Skin, sung by Leslie Klainsmith, arranged by Darrell Andrews, and recorded during 1990 in Sea Point. Finale time, and we lift a glass to Johnny Cooper, who turned 51 on the 4th of this month. We had a nice chinwag on the telephone, and young Johnny is well on his way to a century, wickets intact. Let's listen to Johnny and his orchestra playing Cy Oliver's Opus 1 with Jan Johansson, trumpet, and Stuart Goodwin, alto sax, taking the solos. Very nicely done, Johnny Cooper and friends. That one comes from the Cooper CD Legends of Swing, waxed in 2001. And so old Father Time shows us the door. But I'll be back, God willing, for another session. Till then, all the very best to you and your loved ones. Goodbye.
Swing, Sing and All That Jazz was compiled and presented by Henry Holloway. Henry Holloway's autobiography, titled Swing, Sing and All That Jazz, is due to be published in America by Trafford Publishers and will be available on Amazon.com and at Barnes & Noble bookstores. It tells the story of a unique South African who rose from humble beginnings to become one of only 2 non-Americans in history who has been honoured with America's prestigious Golden Bandstand Award, joining Frank Sinatra, Glenn Miller, Benny Goodman, and 50 other American music legends. This 700-page book tells Henry Holloway's remarkable story and contains more than 500 images of photographs, articles, and letters. Contact Trafford Publishers in Bloomington, Indiana.